call this regular session of the Wetzel County Schools to order. We will begin with the opening pledge by Mr. Glasscock and the invocation by Dr. Christian. If you do not want to participate, you may stay seated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we come to you tonight thanking you for all the wonderful blessings you give us. We continue to pray for this Board of Education, our teachers, our school administration. Please give us the knowledge to lead our school system and provide the best education we can to our children. In God's name we pray, amen.
Amen. The first Let me catch my breath. I thought the wall was coming in. Okay. First thing I want to say is that we are all going to try to speak loudly tonight. We had various people saying they could not hear us in the audience, so we will try that. But also, very thankful that I can't even think of your name, Mrs. Wells. That's from the shop. Mrs. Wells and Mr. McPherson.
It was all Mr. McPherson and Mr. Weekly and then
Okay,
James.
have taken care of getting a system that can be used by people that may not hear as well. Some churches use the system, and so if you do have difficulty hearing, you see Mr. McPherson right over there. Is that good?
That's correct. They're right there for anybody to use.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, the second thing is recognition for the Wetzel County Public Libraries and 100 New Martinsville, Hayden City, and Pine Grove. We know that they provide an excellent service to the communities, and we appreciate that. And so at this time, if we have any representatives from those 4 libraries, if you would come forward, please.
I'm Tina from 100.
Okay?
The longest ride.
The one that's here. So I'll give her the checks from all of them. No, just
That sounds great. Do we have that on record?
Oops.
Yeah, that's really good.
We'd like to give you this to help support the library to continue the education of the community.
Thank you so much. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item of business is a presentation from the Beginning Teacher Academy. We have 3 excellent teachers and coaches here with us: Whitney Healy, Pam Christie, and Jackie Shepard. So the floor is yours.
All right, thank you all for having us. We really appreciate that you put us on your agenda. If you don't know me yet, my name is Whitney Healy. I started back in the county in January at the Tech Center, and I'm very pleased to be presenting you one of the projects we spearheaded and have been working on since right around March of last spring. So for those of you that don't know, we offer an onboarding process now for beginning teachers if they so desire to come. And just to give you a little bit of backstory about this, this kind of birthed from the fact that I was completing the last part of my national boards last semester, and I brought the idea to Mrs. Wells as to whether or not I could start working with some beginning teachers. And then I sent out a mass survey to various experienced teachers in the county. That survey was done through Microsoft Forms, collected all the data for me, makes it really easy. And we found out that of those teachers surveyed, 20% suggested that there was a major need in this county for support for beginning teachers. Quote for quote, they need a better onboarding process for beginning or new teachers. That just so happens to be something I really enjoy doing, helping anybody, with that sort of thing. That then brings me to a one-on-one Teams meeting with Mrs. Wells, who says, you know what, let's green light this, and she let me try a few trials during the spring. So we did a couple different things throughout. Right around late March, I added Mrs. Christie and Mrs. Shepherd to my team, and so now the team has exploded. We have Tiz is present now, as well as a variety of different administrators. I think almost everybody from the board has made it to at least one of our meetings. Thank you guys so much. We just wanted to give you a few stats about what's happening. 6 months after our initial trial sessions, our numbers have doubled. So we started out with a nice little homey group of 6 people, and now we have doubled. This is just an average. So we had 6 teachers coming regularly in the spring. We are now up to 15 regularly. However, at our max, we were over 20 people that had come to get some sort of support from us. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how the program is growing, with the hope that it will continue sustaining. And with that, I'm going to pass the next section on to Ms. Shepherd.
Nope, that's me. You pushed it.
Oh, sorry, it's her next. That's my fault. You just want me to click it for you? Okay, I'll back up here.
So I'm Pam Christie, I'm the elementary math facilitator for Wetzel County, and I'm also a member of the Beginning Teacher Academy. So, why we are doing this, as you guys know, we've had over 30 new employees just recently. And as we know, there are not nearly enough teachers anywhere. We feel the pressure and the pain, as well as any other part of the West Virginia, the state of West Virginia, or the whole United States. So we decided we needed to do something to try to get teachers to come here and to retain them. Because they can go anywhere and get a job. So we need them here. So we thought anything we can do to make their life easier, to help them, because there's, with technology especially, there's so much you don't know when you first start out. Of course, we have the mentors, and that helps, but still, getting all of the new teachers together, or beginning teachers, we had sort of opened it up. Anyone with 5 or fewer years are certainly welcome. We just want to make sure people feel supported, and anything that we can offer to them. And so we meet every 2 weeks. We want to make sure they understand why we need them here. We want to offer support, and we don't want them to leave. You know, we want to find good teachers and keep them here to help our county. So that's why we did it, and it has turned out to be a wonderful thing for us as well as for the new teachers. Okay, what do we have next?
Alright, we have
All right.
visual.
So here's a pretty flower picture. We can't read all of that. This is one of the things that we have offered to them. So Whitney has it put into a pretty little flower. Here it is. That we ask the teachers, what do you need? And they tell us what they need. Of course, they don't know what they need. You know, they don't know what they don't know at first. But then we'll say, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? And they're like, no. And having Mr. McPherson there every time has been wonderful, because if they come with technology issues, like how do I log into my computer? You know, school's starting and they don't even have an email, they don't have anything. So that has been tremendous, because he's like, hey, come to my office. I know a guy. And so that's quote. I think we all know that.
Yes, that was now quote for quote.
That is great having him there. And now we have some veteran teachers that come every day, every meeting, and they help also and say, we've been there. We know what you're going through. Let's see what we can do to help. And I'll let you guys read that. That's just a tremendous list, and that's what they need. So that's what we offer.
That was exactly what they requested. So we collect data at the end of every meeting and ask them what they need us to offer, and that is just since September that you're seeing right there.
And we have met twice a month since September. The month we haven't is December. We met last Tuesday, and we're not meeting again since it's such a short month. And we asked them what they preferred to do come January, whether they wanted to try to meet once a month or twice a month, and it was like unanimous. They all wanted to come twice a month. They just feel supported with this. Okay.
Oh yeah, it does the little wiggle thing.
Oh, yes.
For
Fancy little
emphasis,
thing.
yeah. All right. So the results, what's happening because of this? So we've boosted morale among teachers, staff, and administrative staff that have attended. Like Pam said, we have people that come regularly. We have probably 4 veteran teachers, and they say that this has just rekindled a fire within them because they come and our new teachers are so excited and they just soak up everything. We set our agendas based on what they ask, and I mean, they just, I mean, you've been there, you know, I mean, just the feeling in that room when they're all there, it's, I don't know.
Comfortable.
You're rejuvenated, yeah.
Sorry.
But it's just, it has been very encouraging to us. I know you all have said that it's been very encouraging to you. But it's just a positive environment for everybody that's here. Amanda says Ben comes home happy every Tuesday. What the attendees are saying, they were going to try and come tonight, but you know, it is close to the holidays and they're all busy. So we have this little visual. We did a survey and asked them to respond, just some of their thoughts on the program. And this is their response, and it was very humbling to us to be able to read through some of the things that they were saying. But the atmosphere that we have wanted to create, where it's a safe space for them. You know, when we first started, nobody would ask a question. We do a thing every time where we have a time of reflection where we ask them, you know, what are your celebrations for the week? What has happened? And then the blooper reel, because you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Things are going to happen, and you have to be able to laugh at it, learn from it, and then make it better the next time. And it took a little while for everybody to kind of get going, but now, I mean, we record these every week, and they are very comfortable sharing. They're very comfortable asking questions. So we've been able to build a really strong rapport with them, and now we're going in. We'll do this a lot more heavily once we return from Christmas break, but they're very comfortable with us coming in to do observations and just offer support while we're there, and also to determine what else that we need to offer on our agendas for the next few sessions.
At this time, we want to discuss our future, what we would like to see happen, and then we'll open it up for some questions if you guys have anything like that.
And we're just hoping that we're able to continue. Our big thing with this was to offer support to teachers as they come in, but after we've invested this time, we want to keep them here. I mean, it's not just to get people to come here, it's to get them to come here and stay. I mean, we still have teacher shortages in our buildings, and we don't want to lose the ones that we've been able to gain. They can go anywhere, but we're just trying to provide something positive that will be an incentive for them to stay. And, you know, we're thinking next year, just even to offer to our long-term substitutes, because this is training that they all need, and then when they're ready to step into a full-time position, you know, they're not feeling like they're starting from scratch either. They already have everything they need, and they're ready to go. So that's our hope that this will be able to continue this year. Do y'all have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys have any plans to do something after they've started and they're getting into their own routines, just to follow up with them and say, okay, where are you at now? And just kind of follow up with where you
We've
started.
kind of touched upon that, like, informally so far. Our big question last time, because it was the closing meeting of the first semester, was, is there anything you want us to cover you haven't seen already? And then, is there anything you want us to revisit? And a couple of them came on late or got hired late, so they asked if they could actually get like a replay of the first couple of meetings. So we plan on offering that to them in some capacity, be it like one-on-one in one of those instructions, or going out and offering that. And there's a few that have also asked for some more specialized like training. So we gave them kind of the umbrella of Schoology, for example, but some of them want to really dive deeper into that. So they want to like really get into the nitty gritty of what all they can do. And there's a few other programs that they have suggested that we get into more. I guess to answer that in a different way, that I was kind of got this thought in my head, The gentleman I'm mentoring, like my personal mentee, there's this lovely diagram where you like kind of pin yourself as to, are you in like survival mode or are you in like all these different things. That would be interesting to see if they could, I hate to say the word label, but if they could like put themselves where they are and see where they were. Because I know we've talked a few down from like being stressed out. Like I know one day I went in to help somebody at Magnolia, and he just wanted somebody to help him hang his posters, and that's all he needed. But you just never know what they're going to need, and I think we've made ourselves very accessible in that respect. I know I send an email, and they're like, yeah, come in anytime, like we would love it. So I think more of that can definitely happen, and I know these ladies are eager to do that as well. Mrs. McPherson has been gracious enough to let me go out a couple of times and do that as well. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
Well, I think next year, all of these teachers that are there now will probably continue or are welcome to. Because I know we have a few that have been there 3 or 4 years and said, even though I've been here, I'm still relatively new. So it wouldn't surprise me as we continue this, and we could even split it up. We don't know yet, but have a very beginning teachers, the ones that are new off the block, come next summer, and ones who have been returning and still need support 2 to 3 to 5 years or something like that.
I was just wondering, because I know sometimes it's a lot at first, and then where do you stand? I like the labeling idea.
And we do the reflection every
Oh,
time.
every time.
So that gives everybody an opportunity, and we always ask them, what do you need? What do you need? Because that's how we set our agenda for the next meeting.
And they've grown to expect that, like in a very positive way. They know they're going to be asked directly, what else do you need right now? And they know they'll get an answer at most in 2 weeks, if not in a couple days, depending on which of us can reach them. So
Something I'd like to comment on that, having gone out there, having gone out there for a couple of the sessions, it's a safe environment.
yes,
You can say, I tried this and it didn't work, and somebody say, oh, I tried that once and I didn't, and since it's a safe environment, you can grow. If they're afraid to speak or talk, then you don't make that growth.
the three of us are not very big on bragging on ourselves, but I will say, like, just to kind of piggyback on what you said there, we just had a like closing meeting for the semester with our SREB people as well that work with us on this group, and that was their most appreciative thing that they said. They said, I cannot believe how strong of a climate you've created and a culture. Those guys come in and they're comfortable, and you're going to get every answer you need, even you might not expect some of them, but because they're so comfortable, they said, we cannot believe the amount of comfort they have with the three of us and just being able to ask whatever questions. I think there's a quote on the back. I don't remember if I left the word in there, but he said, I never have to worry about asking a silly question because they are going to answer it. And we are very transparent. If we have goofed, we will tell them about a goof we've had. And we're like, we've done this before. Like, this is what happened to us just yesterday, and they all get a kick out of it, and it's a good time.
And I think it's encouraging, as Pam mentioned earlier, that we have had people that have started like in late September, early October, that are like 3 and 4 year teachers. They're just on their own. After we sent out the email to say, we invite everybody. I mean, they've shown up and they are getting to be regulars. And so it's nice because they're learning, but at the same time, they're able to provide a level of support depending on what the questions are for the really new teachers. So
I appreciated the invite to all of us to come out, and I think that they probably feel more comfortable now, knowing Mrs. Wells and knowing the different people that have attended, that, we're just not a name or someone to be in fear of, that, we work with them.
well, we appreciate you all taking the time to
Yes.
come. I know it's hard with every, when you're scheduled working, but we do appreciate you coming.
It's nice to go home in a good mood too.
Yeah.
The next thing on the list is delegations. I have 4 things to go over first before we start with the delegates. As I've told before, it's a 5-minute limit. Secondly, we cannot respond to you right then. We can only respond to something that is on the agenda when it's being discussed. The board has no responsibility for what the person says. It is the responsibility of the person for what's being said. And the 4th one I haven't mentioned before, but it is in policy. I spent a lot of this weekend reading policy and law. And you are to address me. If you're in a delegate that's getting up to speak, it's It's not to be to the audience or to the rest of the county office personnel, but you are to speak to the president of the board. So with that being said, Vincent Monceau, you're up.
Thanks. I have earned multiple degrees in education from West Liberty University and from WVU, and I have a doctorate in education from WVU. I was in education for over 50 years, and it's sad that so few people are becoming teachers. Wetzel County Schools is facing a dilemma: how to operate multiple schools with decreasing enrollments and increasing teacher vacancies and shortages. It is well past time to unify our schools. Consolidation would allow the sharing of resources to make the good things better and to remedy the deficiencies. It has worked well in many counties, and it would work well here. It's time to take action. I have experienced school consolidation from different perspectives: as a student, as a teacher, as a high school administrator, and as a parent. I attended Weir High School when it was consolidated, integrated with Dunbar High School in 1954. Was it challenging? Yes. Was it successful? Oh yes. In 1963, I was a 23-year-old teacher at the new Oak Glen High School, consolidation of Chester, Newell, and New Cumberland. I was the principal at River for 8 years, and River's last consolidation was with Powhatan in 1970. Was it challenging? Yes. Was it successful? Absolutely. As a parent, our 3 children attended Ohio County Consolidated Schools from kindergarten through senior year. All 3 received a great public school education. The leaders of those schools and communities seized the moment. They knew it was time to take action. School consolidation does not kill communities. The health of a community depends on several factors: employment, age of residents, housing, real estate values, etc. Chester, Newell, and New Cumberland communities that make up Oak Glen are still there. Hannibal, Sardis, Powhatan communities that make up River are still there. There are dozens of examples in this area with communities similar to Wetzel County that have had the courage to consolidate decades ago. Weir, Brook, Wheeling Park, John Marshall, Tyler Consolidated, North Marion, and others. And their communities are still there. I taught and coached at West Liberty State College for 31 years. I taught thousands of students to become teachers and coaches. There are fewer students entering the field of education than in years past. It's a struggle to recruit and retain teachers, and it will only get worse. Without trained educators, the quality of education will plummet. Wetzel County Schools is feeling the pain of that struggle right now, but the students will suffer the lasting effects. In their futures, employers aren't going to care about the name of the applicant's high school. They're going to care about the level of their knowledge. We must consider the quality of their education over the location of their school. Don't look at this as an insurmountable challenge. Look at it as a great opportunity, an opportunity for action. Waiting or stalling won't solve the problem. Don't waver. Don't back down. Don't defer your decision. It is time to take action. Be proactive. Be the leaders who initiate a positive change. Take it from an old teacher. Consolidating Wetzel County schools is the right action. Thank you very much.
Our next delegate is Anissa Anderson.
School configuration, our school configuration needs to change because our children deserve better. I grew up in the small town of West Liberty, West Virginia, but I did not attend the small rural West Liberty High School because Ohio County Schools had the forethought to consolidate West Liberty High School into Warwood High School and eventually into my alma mater, Wheeling Park High School. That consolidation gave me more opportunities than I would have had at a small rural community school. The operational structure of Wetzel County Schools, small rural community schools, is actually robbing our children of opportunities, interpersonal, academic, and extracurricular. Our children deserve better. Wetzel County Schools has divided its students among the same 4 attendance areas for 60 to 70 years, far too long. We can't sustain 4 separate attendance areas. It's time to stop dividing the students in our county. We're wasting educational dollars on outdated buildings and subpar athletic facilities. We should honor the traditions of the past, but yet adapt for the future. Our schools are getting smaller. We need to come together because our children deserve better. It's time to make a unifying change to benefit all of Wetzel County. We need to bring together the best of each school, concentrate our efforts, pool our talents and our personnel, be better stewards of our limited resources, because our children deserve better. Consider these facts. We have 1/3 of the students we had enrolled in 2005. Since then, we've lost 1,000 students. Wetzel County Schools had more students enrolled in 1871 than it does today. We have 3 of the 18 smallest high schools in the state of West Virginia. 163 other schools are larger than those 3. We are the only county to have 2 small public high schools within a short 6 miles of each other. Since 2005, Magnolia High School alone has lost more students than are currently enrolled in each of the other 3 high schools, 9 through 12. How low do our enrollment numbers have to go before we recognize that it's not financially sustainable or academically beneficial to maintain 4 small high schools? How long are we going to watch the numbers in our classes, in our bands, our academic clubs, and our teams shrink? Look at our neighboring counties. They made the consolidation leap decades ago, and they're excelling. Even our own residents are sending, or threatening to send, their students to those consolidated schools. They're leaving because they think their children deserve better. Having 4 small high schools means there's a need for teachers at each school to teach chemistry, physics, calculus, biology, Spanish, etc. It's becoming difficult to find 2 or 3, let alone 4 qualified teachers in those core subjects for our small rural schools. Our children deserve better, better than just non-certified subs. I'm not alone in this opinion. There are many who agree with me. People in this room, people at those tables. They agree that our children deserve better. In order to educate individuals for success, Wetzel County Schools must first face the reality of change. It's not a new concept. We're not the first county to change, and this is not the first time our own county has changed. Exactly 100 years ago this year, the citizens of Littleton experienced change when Wetzel County Schools closed their high school and moved their students to the brand new 100 High School. Was it popular? Yes and no. Was it easy? No. Was it beneficial? Yes. Well, it's time to change. Again. Will it be popular? Yes and no. Will it be easy? No. Will it be beneficial? Definitely. The small rural community school model may have worked for 60 or 70 years, but we can't expect it to work forever. Burying our heads in the pattern of the past, the school colors of the past, if you will, will not fix the problems of the present. Wetzel County Schools needs to make a unifying change that will interest and excite our current students, change that will encourage students released to neighboring counties to return, change that may even attract out-of-county students to transfer to Wetzel County. Together we can make that change. We can build a school that all Wetzel County students can feel proud to attend. Our school configuration needs to change, and as I've said, I think all Wetzel County students deserve better. The question is, do you? Thank you.
Our third delegation is Chuck Lake.
I'll talk to you tonight. I'm not sure how many times I've spoke before this group in the last year and a half, but I come again tonight, and I cannot, the two speakers previous to me were very elegant in what they had their details and everything. But in the last few months, I've come to understand a few things that we're suffering because of the lack of consolidation. Bus trips. We're having to transport our athletes to athletic events outside of the area, playoff games, either by parents hauling them or one way or another. Fall sports, there's 160 away events throughout the county, and there's 4 drivers. Already, from what I understand, we've canceled some trips and some games because we cannot take our athletes to the games. We are just spread out too much and not enough teachers. We need to look at how many STEM teachers we have in our system. And those are science, technology, engineering, and math. How many of them are actually certified teachers, and how many have degrees and are teaching classes with the aids of television screens and things? I mean, we need to find those numbers, and those are spread out because we are too spread out in our teaching skills. Languages. I talk to parents who tell me that their kids go to college and they can't get into premier programs because there are languages they need to understand and things to get into those advanced programs. I'm assuming they're math or French, Spanish, and maybe even German. They don't have an opportunity in all the schools to do those things and learn. New sports facilities. Every facility that we have is in dire shape. You know, Magnolia football field, you walk on it, and it's like a roller coaster. You go into the athletic changing room. They started changing clothes there in 1931, and they're still doing it. You know, Payton City, Valley, the banks behind the football field are leaking water. They're trying to figure out how to do something with the drainage to keep it from coming down the field. We have a lot of issues that we need to address, and we can't address all of them. We need to come together in consolidation. Last year you got your levy. I promoted your levy in word and in writing to move this school for the next 10 years. $700,000 y'all got for another year to advance and move forward in things. You know, you're going to have $700,000. It'd be nice to know that $700,000 is put towards programs that will help improve schools and bring them together. We are bleeding children to other schools. You know, they talk about Payton City. We're bleeding children in Payton City. They're going to Tyler County. You know, one person, from what I understand, if the children in Payton City that have transferred to Tyler would come back to Payton City would be a formidable school. But you can't keep bleeding children to other places and keep promoting the same programs, the same money into that system. I don't know how else to approach all this, but I want to move forward. You have to do something. Now, we're to the point, on December 31st at 12 o'clock, we can no longer do anything next year with any of the schools because you have to tell them a year ahead of time. So at 12:30 or 12 o'clock, December 31st, we're kicked the can down the road for another year. Now, we may talk about what we want to do, but we've kicked that can down the road for another year. I would like to see something start groundbreaking before Mrs. Wells, after an illustrious career, retires and goes in to enjoy her life. If she could turn the first turn of dirt on a new consolidated school, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't you feel good about that? I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that want a better future than what they have now. And so I'm asking you for the 7th or 8th time in the last year, look at consolidation. I know you're going to speak about it later, but it's time not to speak about it. It's time to take action, and that's before 12 o'clock on December 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person to speak is Nikki Goddard.
Hi, my name is Nikki Goddard, and I am the owner of a small but successful grooming and boarding shop here in our small town. I am also a mother of one of the courageous boys who took a stand for what he believes is right. I'm not going to start my thoughts, which there's God's plan, off from a mother's eyes, but yet from a boss's eyes. A boss of a business who has had to earn the respect and trust of not only the dogs that I groom and their owners, but also of that of my employees. Trust and respect are two of the most important things you earn, not only in a business point of view, but in everyday life. Trust and respect go hand in hand. If I went into my business and disrespected or gave my employees tools and equipment to bathe in dry dogs that were wore down, missing parts, or falling apart, and expect them to continue to work for me, I'd be a one-man show. And we all know that there's no I in team, only in sync. And trust me when I say, my ship would most certainly sink if it wasn't for my team. My business would not be a success if I used broken brushes, dull scissors, and blades. And I'd have lots of wandering clients leaving and going to different groomers. As a boss, it's my job to make sure that my employees, my team, have the proper equipment and work efficiently and safely. With that being said, I turn back to a mother's view. Multiple injuries, the fear of your child going to sleep after a concussion, your child saying they are disrespected, broken trust, faulty equipment that has been brought up to a multitude of people who we trusted would care enough for our children to get the issue fixed. Our sons are working their tails off for a system that's failing them. Why not jump the sinking ship like everyone else is? Do you blame them? I don't. Not when there are other schools whose systems have not failed their students or players' safety. That's all.
Our final person is Rodney McWilliams.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to thank the delegates for their presentations and their thoughts and passions on the topics they spoke to. Also want to thank the board members and administration of Wetzel County Schools for allowing delegations to speak on various topics. I do want to come to the board tonight with a positive note from Payton City High School, which is a formidable high school at present. As you all know, we are undergoing a change in our administration at the high school, and I see on the agenda where we're going to be accepting a new principal on tonight's meeting, and let you know that the community of Payton City, the administration, the students, and parents all welcome the new principal with open arms with full support of our community. But I also like to thank the board for, in the interim, for assigning Mr. Larry West as our principal. Mr. West has performed admirably, which is not a surprise to anybody that knows him. He has led our school gallantly through the transition to all kinds of levels of success. Students, administration, the community, the parents, everyone will tell you that the school has always moved in the right direction, and with his guidance has just exponentially excelled in those directions. So from the community of Payton City, on behalf of Payton City Foundation, I'd like to thank the board and the administration for the assignment of Mr. West to Payton City High School. And the other topic I'd like to speak to is we all understand the passions and thoughts and desires of everyone who lives in the county. I am a native of Wetzel County. I'm a native of Payton City High School. I know my community. I know my county. I appreciate thoughts and viewpoints from various geographic areas, various educational expertise, all viewpoints. We remain open-minded. There is a process in this county that has been followed for decades when it comes to school configurations. That process has been in place. There is a process to be put in place. It's on the agenda, as you all know. And I respectfully suggest that that process be followed to the law and as civilly as possible. I understand people have very passionate views about consolidation, about community schools, but I also have concerns that the level at which this board has been subjected to public harassment is going on far enough. You've been addressed multiple times about the same subject over and over again. You have now put on the agenda, which is within your rights to do. The delegates have their rights to speak also, and I appreciate that. But I believe that it's time that the process be allowed to work, do its job, and we will all have to live with the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, fifth thing on the agenda is superintendent's information.
Okay, we're getting into a little bit of academics tonight. I'm
Yay.
excited about this. We went to state superintendent's meeting last week, and State Superintendent Roche talked to us about the science of reading. And if you look up here, here's the presentation that was given by iReady Curriculum Associates at the request of Superintendent Roche. I'm not going to go through the entire presentation this evening because we have not shared all of this yet with our principals, and we have not shared this with our teachers yet. There's been talk about the science of reading, everyone's heard it, and we're just going to gloss a little bit over it tonight so that you'll hear it tonight, and then after we have our principals meeting in June, and they bring it out to the I'm rushing things, January, and then we'll be able to come to the board and go through the entire presentation and talk with you the particulars about the science of reading. A quote that I got from Curriculum Associates when they were giving this, and I just thought this was something I didn't know, and I have a specialization in English language arts. The human brain is wired to speak and absorb language, but not to read. I didn't know that. Only 20 to 30% of children learn to read without explicitly being taught. The remaining 70 to 80% need effective curriculum and structured instruction to gain literacy skills to keep on track with their learning progression. And that's the quote we start out with, and we go into this. You can turn it, Mr. McPherson. We talk about space and grace, and I think this is, with the state of public schools and schools in general in the nation and the world, I love this quote, but it's also for reading instruction, which we're going to see is going to take a pendulum swing back to more explicit instruction. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And that's from the late Dr. Maya Angelou. Teaching reading is brain surgery. How many times do I tell the old board, this is brain surgery, this is rocket science. Education is not easy. And so teaching reading is brain surgery, and we're going to look a little bit into Okay, here are the NAEP scores, and how the progression has gone. If you'll look at the green, it's kind of hard to see, but if you'll look at where it's circled in green, that is pre-pandemic scores, and you will see what has happened to reading scores since the pandemic. We as a nation have declined in our reading. Okay, here's the pendulum swing, guys. At one time, we did it. We taught the very structured, very explicit, systematic way. We stopped doing it because someone did a doctoral dissertation, and we, and we all caught on to that, and we know how that goes. We really did it then. We went back with a vengeance, and we attacked it, and we addressed it, and we did it. Then we sort of did it. Well, guess what? We're about to do it again. We're going back to the explicit instruction of reading model.
Typical education.
How were educators teaching in 2019? About 50% of the educators teach reading using whole language. I want to tell you, whole language was in vogue when I went to college. I'm retiring in June. Now I know I look really young. You shouldn't have laughed. That has been proven. Whole language has been proven to be really good for these 20 to 30% of children who learn to read without explicitly being taught. Not for the rest of them. In fact, we did them a huge disservice. Phonics is a close second at 37. Majority, 61% of teachers, are unfamiliar with explicit phonics instruction. Educators who are less familiar with phonics are less satisfied with their current resources to address foundational skills. They're not teaching it, or if they are, they're the teachers that are in the know. Those of us that are old, we know that worked, and there are, thank goodness, teachers that are holding on to that and doing it. But as has been presented to us tonight, we have a lot of new teachers. We have a lot of people that are coming into our classrooms without the background that we were fortunate enough to have in pedagogy. And so we need to make sure they have the current resources to address these foundational skills so our scores do not continue to get lower. Okay, you can go on now to number 15.
You'll have to tell me when to stop because I don't have numbers.
Oh, great, okay. Okay, there we go, stop right there, okay. There's a simple view of reading. We have decoding and we have language comprehension, and that equals reading comprehension. Go ahead. Okay, now you'll look here, this is a really cool graphic. We have word recognition and language comprehension, and we have all these explicit skills that must occur under each of those. And we'll get into those explicit skills as the year goes on in the next 6 months. We'll get into those. We'll have teachers coming in talking about those and letting people know about that and why word recognition and language comprehension are the key to becoming gifted quality readers. Okay, we'll talk about the reading brain. We got reading in the brain for our principals. We ordered 40 copies, right? 40 copies, okay. We're going to get started, then we'll give it to our teachers. And you'll see it's not just phonemic awareness, PA, there we go with our acronyms again. PA, phonemic awareness, and phonics anymore. And 15 minutes won't get us home. If you've been around as long as me, you did whole language, and then we did that 15 minutes, that's the silent, sustained reading every day. Now, is that terrible? Absolutely not. It is wonderful to watch adults read and model reading for kids, and it's wonderful for kids to get 15 minutes of uninterrupted reading time. There are kids that schedules are so busy or their lives are so hectic at home, they don't get that time. But is it going to work on its own? Absolutely not. Is it going to work with whole language? Absolutely not. Not for 70 to 80% of our students. Okay? Okay, we'll stop right there for tonight, and we'll go on at our next meeting, and we'll get more deep into this and take it piece by piece. It's hard enough for those of us with an education background to look at this and not glaze over to certain points, so I'm sure those of you without an education background are ready to string me up right now. So we will stop with that, and we will come back to that at the next meeting, but I wanted to let you know that is where we're going.
Do you have any other information you want to give?
I am pretty excited about one thing. We had 2 teachers, and we're going to bring them to one of our meetings and have them recognized. We had 2 teachers who just this weekend found out that they were, they earned, because you're not awarded it, you have to earn this. They earned the National Board Certified Teacher honor. And that comes with lots of accolades, that comes with pay increases, and we are so proud of them. That is Chrissy Bowers-Mace and Whitney Healy. So I think we need to give them a big round of applause. It is the highest standard in the nation of teaching excellence, and we have 2 more that have earned it in our county. So that is incredible.
And we also had a state level cheer.
We certainly did, and she said that she would do her round off back handspring if we asked her to. Is she back there?
I'm right here. I was just texting Christy and saying congratulations.
Yeah, she is tell us what your title is.
I judged cheerleading in the state of West Virginia, like you have football officials, and that I was the state official of the year. But Bernie Dolan, he told me about it, and I said, you don't have to present it, but he did. Saturday state cheer competition out in the front of hundreds of people.
All right.
And for those of you that don't know who that was speaking, that's Amy Carpenter. She's a teacher in our school system.
And a darn good cheerleader, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. So, under superintendent's recommendations is A, approval of minutes from the regular meeting on November 14th.
I move for approval of the minutes from the November 14th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Casterlo and seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now under personnel matters, we have retirements, resignations, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular, mentor teachers, leaves of absence. I think that's it. And leaves of absence. So, do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Glasscock. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Castello. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, motion carries unanimously. And having gone through this, I'm glad to see that Mrs. Miller and family members attended, and we look forward to you being the principal in our town.
I'm very excited. Thank you.
To recognize too that she brought her crew with her tonight. Yes, Mrs. Miller, would you introduce your family to us that's here?
Well, this is 2/3 of them. This is Anna, Chelsea, Emma, and Grace.
It's nice to have your family.
It's
part of
wonderful
ours.
to have my family here.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move on to routine matters. Out-of-state trip. Before we vote on anything, I just want to make a clarification here. The first one that's listed there was a request made in time in November, but since we did not meet for the second meeting in November, due to the holiday time period there, Mrs. Wells asked us to put it on, for approval, put it on here, and we said yes, so that's why it's listed like that. Okay, so we have on there out-of-state trips, chaperones, volunteers, Payne City High School, Long Drain School in New Martinsville. Do we have a motion for the approval of the superintendent's recommendations as outlined under routine matters?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. Christian. I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, number 7, on the tabled issue. It was an issue that we tabled last time to put back on the agenda this time for approval. We were just checking out some details on a trip, and then there's an out-of-state trip. Oh, they'll have to do each of those separately. Okay, so let's do the first one from the tabled issue, that from this trip request. All those in favor of approving that trip?
You're just approving it to bring.
Putting it back on the table, thank you.
I move that the issue that was tabled be placed back on the table.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Castleton and seconded by Dr. Christian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now it's back on the table. So now we have the out-of-state trip that's listed there. I move that we approve this trip. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're to the treasurer's report. The floor is yours.
You have received in your packet the list of checks written for the prior month. I'm asking for approval of those checks. I also have a supplement increase in the budget of a total of $79. Don't spend it all in one place, but it is a requirement that I need to bring these new grants to the board. So the reason why it's only $79, quickly, there's a national board tuition reimbursement grant of $511 that came through. There will be more that comes through later. Our IDEA federal allocations came through. It's a little bit less. That's why it's only going to total $79. But our two special ed grants for IDEA, the preschool grant and the regular grant, the amount that we actually received was just a little bit less than what they projected we would receive that we've already budgeted. So I have to reduce the budget by $1,270 for that. And the final supplement that I'm asking for approval for is a grant, a state grant that we received for the simulated workplace holiday competition, which is kind of interesting. 100 high schools participating in a competition that I believe includes their robotics program and their the culinary arts program. So that's a grant that came through from the state for them for their travel for that.
And I believe that's this Wednesday that they're doing that.
Yeah, soon.
I think it's Wednesday, and they're going to try to put it on YouTube and Facebook Live. It's over in Martinsburg.
That's all that I have this evening.
I move that the treasurer's report be approved, the payment of the bills and transfers and increases in the budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Castleton and seconded by Dr. Christian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay. The next section is the first reading of the revised and deleted Wetzel County policies. I'm going to, Mr. Barkis is unable to be here tonight, and I'm going to make a couple comments and then we can go on with this. And some people wondered, why are we doing this? We've had policies from 1978 that had never been revisited, and times have really changed. We've gone from policies that would be about this thick to getting down to where it is. And if they're opposite of something the state says, we always have to go by the state policy first. So we've been taking a section at a time, and so that's why you keep seeing this. This is the first reading of them. I'm not going, do I have to read every single letter? No. Go ahead. I can talk fast, but I really don't want to. So if you look down through there, these are the policies that are the J policies in our policy manual. After we get these all done, then we'll have one more section left to go on personnel. So looking down through these, you can see that there's one new policy that we made, and then we have all revised policies, and then some deleted policies. And again, we delete them because they're no longer up to date, or there's a state policy that covers it. So looking at those, do I have a motion to approve the first reading of the revised deleted policies as listed above? And as you notice there, it does say that you can look at them online. Believe me, we've been through them page by page.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Nice. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Castelo. All those in favor of the approval of the first reading of the revised deleted new policy, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Under number 10, board discussion relating to the following. The first topic there, the Magnolia football program, is being removed from the discussion tonight. We'll go on to the school configuration. Something that I do want to mention is that when we have people come and speak, we do listen. There have been some people that say we speak and then we never hear something else. Believe me, there's a lot that goes on, but due to confidentiality, we can't speak to it. So just letting you know that to start with. Also, talking now about the configuration. My phone has rung off the hook. I have had many, many texts, and I'm not complaining because I need to know what people want. But this is a configuration of schools, is a community-based thought process. It is not just the board to say we're going to do this, and we do it. Mrs. Wells started a committee called the Vision Committee. It's getting off the ground now, and in that committee, she is using people from all attendance areas so that we can get a better understanding, so that we can start to move forward. It does not happen overnight, and the community has to be involved. We can't just say we're closing. So, Mrs. Wells, would you speak a little bit to the Vision Committee and
Certainly.
what
Yeah,
you're
I'd love to.
doing?
On December 8th, we met with a small group. We were disappointed there were a few people that couldn't come, but we are going to regroup with them. But we met with a small group of people within our county who come from the economic stability, entrepreneurship, business sector of our community. We feel that we need to make sure that we look at that as a subgroup. We also need to look at parents. So we're going to have a parent subgroup very quickly as soon as the new year is over. And those two committees will inform the work of the larger group, the larger vision group. Now, the larger vision group is scheduled to meet on January 19th. There is a lot that, there are a lot of people on this vision group, but we want it that way. They will be working in groups, they will be reporting out. SRAB's Dr. Kathleen McNally will be leading that charge, because we want to make sure that whoever we have leading this is a neutral party. She is not from our county, she is from outside, and she did lead the December 8th meeting of the business sector of our county, and we gained a lot of very valuable information from that meeting as to what those who are business owners and those who are entrepreneurs want to see occur in our county, as well as what the school system can provide in our present configuration, and giving us ideas on what we need to provide in the future for our business owners to have quality workforce and for our economy to be stable. So that was a very insightful meeting, and very pleased with the people that attended that. And like I said, the Parent Engagement Committee will meet soon after the new year, and then we will begin the large vision group on January 19th. And the invitations, we've already sent invitations out to people to be part of that group, but we will be sending out a letter telling them about the meeting. We're going to meet off-site, so we can really make it neutral, and we can get all portions of the community involved.
Thank you. So, by not making a decision tonight, or me saying we're going to do this or we're not going to do this, we're going forward. And I appreciate that you're staying with this, even though you know you're retiring, that you're still continuing to move us.
Of course.
Does anybody have any comments? Nobody? Okay. All right, then we'll go to other items, and A is discussion policy 2322.
Okay. We are going to start tonight, well, I'm going to say, Mr. Houston's not here. He's at the assessment director conference that's required for him to go to, so we can be in compliance. But our strategic plan was approved by the state, and that is good news. That takes a long time every year. I mean, the work starts back in the spring, in the winter, and usually it's about this time every year we get the final approval from the state, and we got it. So congratulations to Mr. Houston and to his strategic planning committee for getting that, and for the money that's going to come from that comes into our county. Piggybacking off of that, I'd like for Mrs. Sanford to
Okay.
please talk.
Some upcoming things when we come back from the holidays in January. And it's hard to believe, but we have call-in registration for pre-K and kindergarten the week of January 16th. I mean, that's amazing to me that is so soon that it is. iReady Benchmark will, the Benchmark 2 will open up January the 9th, and it will close on January the 30th. So then, once we get those results, we'll be able to compare and see the growth that we've had. And hopefully in January, we're going to have parent-teacher conferences, trying to work that out. And the pre-K audit is January 25th. That's all I have.
I'm gonna keep it with the curriculum right now before I send it on. We, at this state superintendent's meeting, Curriculum Associates unveiled to us the 5 most improved counties in the state. And we said you either have to have apparently a county that ends in a T or a county that ends in a W, because they were Taylor, Tyler, Wirt, Wetzel, and Lane are the 5 most improved counties in the state. So there we go. Yes, it is excellent news. That's what I thought. Mrs. McPherson.
I have nothing additional to
Mr. Kimball.
Okay, so, pardon my voice, I'm not sure what it is, but been dealing with it for a couple of days. We just went through a special education audit. Mrs. Wells was in here for both of the meetings, the pre-meeting and the post-meeting. And they were in 3 of our schools. They were at New Martinsville, Long Drain, and Valley. So what that entails, they hit the lower levels at New Martinsville, the middle school, the 6, 7, and 8 at Long Drain, and they did the high school at Valley. So that's kind of how they go. They try to get all facets of the education system, where they just take like a snapshot of what they go in and look at. They go in and do observations, they pull IEPs and other paperwork, and they give us the information back so that we can make adjustments. And they're basically a checks and balances that they give us ideas, recommendations, and resources to make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing in the best interest of the students. And I like it because it gives us where we're at and where we need to be. So they kind of will give us, I think they're going to mail us a document in January of exactly everything that they saw, and what we did great, what we maybe faulted a little bit on, that we need to do a little better on, which I've already got plans in my head on how to get that out to the teachers and the principals. So I honestly, I think it was good. I like to know where we stand, and that absolutely told us where we're at and where we need to go. So it was a lot of work for a lot of our teachers, including my staff upstairs. Kind of nerve-wracking at some points, but all in all, I think it was a positive visit with the State Department. And sometimes you're worried when the state comes in, but it's not them looking at you trying to find mistakes. It's them trying to make us better as a county. And I think that's exactly what they did. And we're going to see where we're at, and we're going to move forward and move up from that direction. I'm also coming to you. I talked with Mrs. Wells this morning, and I've got a request that I wish I could request this, I guess, every meeting. We started off the school year with a halftime gifted teacher, and right now we've doubled our gifted numbers, and so I'm coming to you asking for another halftime gifted teacher for the county. And I think our gifted numbers, like I said, they've already doubled, and I think there's at least 2 or 3 more that are in the process of maybe coming on board with testing and so on and so forth. So if I have your blessing, I'd like to post a halftime gifted teacher.
You can give me that authority to do that, or we can vote on it next week. Up to you.
My thoughts are, I've been fighting for this for years, so I'm 100% behind it, so that's my thoughts. I'll share that.
The sooner the better.
Okay.
We have to make that an official action to
No.
give you that? Okay.
We just have to tell her.
Yeah. Should have the blessing. Now, if you want it on the next meeting agenda, you are well within your rights to do that. That's up to you, though.
I think we need to put it on the next agenda. I make a motion, we put it on the next agenda.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Well, it's been moved and seconded to put that on the next agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Put it on the next agenda, it's carried unanimously.
Anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
Any of them?
I just wanted to say, that's right, we're back to this. Thank you, Mr. Castello. I just want to say kudos to the special ed department. This has been a long process, a lot of preliminary work, a lot of work while they were here, and the follow-up work is there's going to be a lot, both for the kudos and for the cleaning up. So, and there's, as the year progresses, you guys will be getting more information on that as it becomes available to us. And I'm just very pleased with what your department did. I appreciate it very much. Mr. McPherson.
Just two easy things. The techs have been very busy in the past about 6 weeks. We've swapped out about 45 teacher desktops to newer, updated computers. And of course, our version of what needs updated, I'm not going to lie, is probably a higher standard than some other counties we use. So our stuff's in really good shape. And then as far as Beginning Teacher Academy, I have enjoyed, that's my favorite every other Tuesday event. And I was sitting here thinking, you know, we've all seen lots of presentations, whether it's here, maybe not so much here, but in other places where people talk better about things than they really are and make it sound better than it really is. That's not the case with this. This is the real deal. I think those of you who've been there can see that. But I personally feel this is something that's going to help us keep teachers and help us improve the teachers that we have, because you know they pointed out very well that you know if we find someone and they want to be here, we need to do everything in our power. So hats off to those three. They've done just an amazing job.
Hey, Mr. Laxton.
Well, I'm going to give you some bad news and some good news, and the only good news is that the bad news isn't as bad as it could have been. So let's interpret all that. There was an appeal that was done by some of our some oil and gas companies on their appraised values, and they won that appeal, and that included Antero, EQT, and CNX. There was a whirlwind last week of me trying to figure out what does that mean, because what I'm hearing is we're going to have to get money back of some of the tax dollars that we've already received. And the numbers that were floating around from Doddridge County was potentially a couple $1 million, from Tyler County potentially $3.5 million. And so I'm on the phone late at night texting the assessor and finding out what that impact is to us. So the good news is it's not nearly as bad as that. The bad news is what it means for us. Antero's not really, they didn't really push it in this county. The EQT is still here. CNX is not a part of it. EQT, what that ultimately means to us is about $451,000. We can deal with that. That's, you know, it's not good news, but compared to what some of these other counties are seeing. So basically what happened is they paid their taxes based on what, and it's nothing our local assessor did, we'll make sure that's clear. Those values are set at the state level. And they appealed those values after they paid their taxes. They have to pay the taxes first, and they received basically a credit saying, you're right, you've overpaid your taxes to the tune of $451,000. That's our share, $451,000. And we can get about half of that back. It'll take a couple years, but there's a process where they'll give us more state aid for our, without getting into the weeds, for our regular portion of the levy. But our excess levy, there's no way to get that back. That's on us. So we're going to lose $451,000 this year, but we'll get $204,000 of that back in additional state aid added to us based on some processes I have to do, and the assessor has to do. So we can deal with that. I always budget a little bit of a cushion in our tax budget. It's just going to mean at the end of the year we're not going to see as big of a supplement at the end of the year for excess taxes. I know I'm already $451,000 less on that cushion, but there are some other things we've been doing. Mr. Duke and I have been working on investing some funds with the state treasurer's office, which the board gave authority, the prior board had given authority to work with, and it's really doing a lot for us interest-wise. So our interest on our bank account is going to go up significantly above what we budgeted, so it'll help offset some of that. So it's not terrible news. It had me panicking at first because that's a pretty big deal. But that's the only news I have.
Thank you. I just felt like we were pretty good.
Yeah, I've ruined everything.
Okay, under date and time of next meeting. I mentioned it in November, but I did not call it for a vote. As in past years, we don't meet the week of Christmas. This is the day after Christmas would be our next meeting. So the next regular meeting then would be January 9th. Can we vote on that? So I make the motion that we cancel the December 26th meeting and our next meeting be January 9th, 2023. It's moved by Mrs. Swanner and seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Moved by Mr. Glassbach. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.